Which of the following best describes an Azure subscription? A logical container used to provision resources in Azure. B. A physical server used to host Azure services. C. A billing unit for Azure services. D. A security boundary for Azure resources. The correct answer is A. A logical container used to provision resources in Azure. An Azure subscription is a logical container used to provision resources in Azure. It is not a physical server, billing unit, or security boundary, although it does have billing and security implications. You have multiple Azure subscriptions and want to manage them under a single billing account. Which Azure service should you use? A. Azure Active Directory. B. Azure Policy. C. Azure Management Groups. D. Azure Cost Management. The correct answer is C. Azure Management Groups. Azure Management Groups allow you to manage multiple subscriptions under a single billing account. Azure Active Directory, Azure Policy, and Azure Cost Management do not provide this capability. What is the primary purpose of an Azure subscription in terms of resource management? A. To provide a security boundary for resources. B. To organize resources for billing and management. C. To host virtual machines and databases. D. To enforce compliance policies. The correct answer is B. To organize resources for billing and management. The primary purpose of an Azure subscription is to organize resources for billing and management. It is not primarily a security boundary, a host for virtual machines and databases, or a tool for enforcing compliance policies. A company wants to separate its development and production environments in Azure. What is the best practice for achieving this? A. Create separate resource groups within a single subscription. B. Use tags to differentiate resources. C. Create separate subscriptions for development and production. D. Use different regions for development and production. The correct answer is C. Create separate subscriptions for development and production. The best practice is to create separate subscriptions for development and production environments. This provides clear separation and management of resources. Resource groups, tags, and regions do not provide the same level of separation. Which of the following statements is true about Azure subscriptions and billing? Each subscription generates its own billing report. B. Billing is consolidated across all subscriptions in an account. C. Billing is only available at the resource group level. D. Billing is managed through Azure Active Directory. The correct answer is A. Each subscription generates its own billing report. Each Azure subscription generates its own billing report. Billing is not consolidated across subscriptions, managed at the resource group level, or through Azure Active Directory. You need to apply a policy across multiple Azure subscriptions to enforce resource tagging. Which Azure feature should you use? Azure Blueprints. B. Azure Policy. C. Azure Management Groups. D. Azure Resource Manager. The correct answer is B. Azure Policy. Azure Policy allows you to enforce resource tagging across multiple subscriptions. Azure Blueprints, Azure Management Groups, and Azure Resource Manager do not provide this specific capability.